All right, guys, welcome. Hello, hello, John.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so I think today we're gonna do it a little bit special. We're gonna make it a bit more exciting because instead of adding, I think, salt and pepper to your food, we're adding a little bit of some colors to our
Whiskey.
drinks. Yeah, so we're drinking whiskey today, and hopefully create more creative ideas and more creative discussions will come up. As they say, right, when you block the conscious, the subconscious will give you better ideas and better uh, better inspiration, I guess. But John, today I think we're discussing about something quite interesting: future of shopping, and more importantly, the death of shopping malls. Right, and you're
Yeah.
very experienced in the retail space, and you're very, very experienced in terms of you know a lot of people in those space, and you've already done a lot of projects in those space as well. So we'd love to know a little bit about in Malaysia what the retail space is going to look like in the next few months to 24 months, and also who's doing well and who's not doing well, and discuss a little bit about what are some strategies that people can use.
Yeah. So my experience has been crowdfunding. So been investing and helping some of the retail businesses to crowdfund for the past 3 to 4 years. And last year was indeed a very tough time for most of the retail business. And I think this is gonna get worse. The news yesterday reported that around I think 49% of micro SMEs are gonna collapse. Do you read the news?
49%? Did you say 49?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I just said
horrible.
49%. Yeah. So this was the news yesterday. I think it's crazy, 49%. And if you know the micro SME market, right, that accounts to around 40% of Malaysia's GDP. So if you are saying that 49% of them are actually going bankrupt, that means that we're gonna wipe off like 20% of Malaysia's GDP, man.
So this
It's
is
crazy.
micro SME. Micro SME as in how big are these businesses? What's their revenue like a year?
So I don't know what's the definition that they use in this article, but for me, I will call a micro SME someone who is doing less than 500,000 a year. Yeah,
Okay.
half a
Okay.
million revenue.
That's big.
So
That's
some of
big.
these shops,
That's a lot of businesses are in that category, especially out of city centers.
yeah. So those guys who are even some of them one shop, but they only do 500,000, we still call them micro SMEs. Those guys who have a stall, a nasi lemak stall, we also call them micro SMEs because they're doing 500,000 a year. So 7 million of Malaysian will be out of jobs. I don't know how many more white flags we'll be seeing, man.
So I think it's the fact that I think this is inevitable in many ways. I really believe that retail is having it the worst because yes, the pandemic is going to be curbed. Yes, the virus is going to be around, but I always believe that in these cases like this, are the businesses doing enough to pivot or adapt during times like this? Number one, and if their business cannot be adapted, are the government and the authorities doing enough to help businesses that cannot be adapted to? Does it make sense in terms of my explanation? Like I think some businesses they can sell online, there's no problem at all, right? But there are some that just couldn't do it. Like you know what I'm saying, like a beauty salon or a slimming center. How are you going to do that online, right? You can't replace enough overhead with selling products on the internet.
Yeah, or even a massage center, right? There's no way they can be doing anything right now. Yeah.
Yeah, unless someone
But
start.
today,
Yeah.
yeah. But today I've kind of accepted the fact that we Malaysians, we can't depend on the government. Right now, you look at the news in the past 2 days, there's so much drama going on with the government, right? We don't know if the PM will still be PM next week.
Yeah.
So they have their own worries and trouble, which now seems like the Malaysians' troubles and worries are not their problem anymore. They are focused on whether can they maintain their seat and can they maintain power. So for me, I agree with your first point. The first point is how can business owners adapt in this current market? Because you got to just stop relying on the government. There's nothing the government is gonna do.
Yeah, so I was looking because I know a few friends who are in the hair salon and the barber shop business, they're struggling really, really bad, and the barbers usually have zero income coming in because they cannot do house calls, they cannot cut hair. And in fact, if you look at statistics, hair salons and barbershop, very least likely you'll be able to create a cluster, and they sanitize all their equipments and tools more than any other businesses out there. But they are always the victim when it comes to this process. Damn beauty salons, facial salons, slimming centers, gym. Of course, gym, there are some cases in there, but not as big as the amount of people that are walking through it. What about cinema? I was always joking with people, like imagine 10 years from now, right? You tell your kids, right, your son and daughter, hey, Papa used to go to cinema to watch movies. Your kids are gonna be like, what's a cinema, right? Because it doesn't exist in the future because of the. I think that would be so ridiculous. But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm anti-lockdown. Like people always say, Desmond, you're so selfish to say that. Why you are anti-lockdown? Here's the thing, because I know what lockdown can create. Have you ever thought about the consequences of what lockdown can create? So in terms of the retail business, number one, yes, adaptation is for sure needed. So I want to talk a little bit about what some of these hair salons and what some of these beauty salons are doing, and why they are not able to do this properly as well, and can they do it better? And the answer is no. Right, before we go there, let's talk about what they have done over this particular period. Hair salons, beauty salons, I think you know this. They are very much a done for you service. Basically, you go there, you get your face, your hair, whatever fixed, correct? So you don't go and learn how to cut hair yourself. You don't go and buy courses from them. Even though some of them do sell that, and let me just tell you, it couldn't pay the overhead as well. Number two is that they try to sell their own product. So a lot of them, what they do is that they'll go to factories. They call it OEM factories or white label factories, and they'll get their own shampoo, they'll create their own brands, and they will try to sell it online using Facebook Live. Later, I think you want to talk about that. Facebook Live and social commerce and streaming. They are doing very well for the first few months, but they still couldn't cover. Here's why. Because products will never be able to achieve service margin, right? Because you know this, John, we run businesses. When we sell product, we don't get to keep as big of a margin. And those margins are important to cover the overhead, right? And the worst thing is, I don't think a lot of people actually predicted this, is the fact that the therapists that are in this business felt like they cannot generate value if they cannot sell. So if the therapists can go on Facebook Live and start selling, and webinars and start selling, that's fantastic. But not every therapist that you know are extrovert and can present. You understand what I'm saying? There's some of them that just prefer one-on-one. They just prefer a relationship selling, and they're just introvert and they cannot appear in front of the camera. Those are the people that feel less value, and because of that, they don't see the future in this industry anymore. And it becomes a very big dilemma for a business owner in the beauty industry to figure out whether do I keep this employee, and if this person feels very depressed because he or she cannot contribute value to the company, or do we actually let him or her go? But if we let him or her go, then he has no income or she has no income. What do they do then? It's like a really tricky situation for a lot of business owners in retail space. It's so tricky in the fact that many of the ones that I know, they're in such a big dilemma that they are sitting at the corner. They're just like being super stressed about this. They don't know what to do. And there's no guidance. There's no dates or timing, and there's no plan. And I think one of the worst things that Malaysia is going through right now is there's no realistic plan moving ahead. And a lot of people will think that, I see some comments arguing on the internet because the government is giving 3,000 ringgit, 700 to 800 US dollars, right? To gym owners, travel agencies, kindergartens, nursery, to help them. Dude, that's not a lot of money, and we don't need to argue about whether it's enough money or not enough money. But I see comments, people saying that, oh, you're lucky you receive so much money from the government. I think most people don't understand that businesses have a lot of overhead, and we still need to pay rent. I haven't gone to my office in forever, John. For all I know, it's a dust factory right now. For all I know, people are making drugs inside, and I don't even know, correct? But I'm still paying rent, I'm still paying the bills, I'm still paying the management fees and everything, right? So those kind of things don't stop. And even if you don't pay now, you're deferring it, they will become a liability, and sooner or later you have to pay them. So those add up stress in entrepreneurs, and people don't think about them.